Welcome. My name is Owen Wilson, and this is the introductory video to my weekly video series where I'm going to reveal the truth of what it means to win in internet money. And the way I'm going to do that is by showing you all the raw, uncut performance and results and problem solving that it takes to go from my current state, which is unprofitable over the long term of my business, but beginning to find consistency, to making multiple six figures per month with my business. And so I'm a day trader, but I'm not making this a trading education YouTube. This is just focused on business in general, showing what real results look like in the course of building an elite business and maintaining that performance of an elite business. Just like you heard, another aspect of these videos is they're gonna be raw, uncut, because the truth is that when I make a decision with my business, if I didn't like the result, I can't just cut it out and erase it. So I have to live with that result. And I want to make sure that, that permeates in everything that I do with these videos. So you're going to hear me, say, you're going to see me pause and think about what I'm going to say. Because, the truth is that we live in this internet money space where people are telling you how to make a bunch of money with it being so easy and, showing their perfect result. Like, we know all that is fake, and the appearance that they're creating, what they're doing is they're cutting out the ugly parts. Maybe they're even lying about the beautiful parts too. Because the truth is that building a very successful business and maintaining that level of success over time is both beautiful and ugly. And so I'm going to make sure that I show both of those parts. And a lot of this is, I just want to bring honesty to this space, which I think is generally dishonest. There is some value being shared, but a lot of it is just information. And, the level of your appearance, the more perfect your appearance, the higher the price of the information. But appearances are fake, and information is not what leads to success. Results, and specifically results over time under pressure, under the eyes of the whole world, that is really the true measure of success. And what actually leads to success is execution, not information. And the only way that you get good at executing something is by doing it. And all of my progress up to this point, yes, I've, learned some important technical information, but really what it's come down to is me becoming skilled at problem solving and executing live every day, working through the losses, working through the wins, working through the beautiful and the ugly to maintain results over time. So I want to make sure that I'm sharing the truth of what that actually looks like. And just as this is an introductory video. So introducing myself, my name is Owen Wilson. I'm 22 years old. I'm a day trader and I am a mechanical engineer. I just graduated a month ago with my degree in mechanical engineering, and I had a job lined up with Amazon to be making $170,000 per year. And 2 days before I started, I withdrew from the position and went all into my day trading business that I've been building for a few years now. And I wanted to share the reasons why I went all in. And it's very simple. And it's just three main reasons, which is that one is that building my business is what I truly want. Two is that I know I will succeed. And three is that I have a safety net. And with those three things in place, I would be lying to myself if I were to do something else, to say, oh, I need more money because my safety net isn't large enough. It's large enough. Or saying, I believe in myself, but I have everything that is required for me to go all in, yet I'm still not going all in. Or saying, this business is what I truly want to do, and I believe in myself and I have the safety net. Well, then maybe it's not what you truly want to do. You know what I'm saying? So any one of those, if that trifecta is there, for me, I just saw that and immediately I didn't have to overthink it. It's like, yeah, it's time to go all in. And so I did. Trying to think of, what else I want to share before getting into my performance up to this point, so that we can, it's a Sunday. I filmed the performance last night, actually, so on Saturday. So I want to make sure you all know what my performance is up to this point before going into this next new week. And I guess that's what I'll talk about, is kind of the format or the way that I'm going to share my results and my problem solving and all that. So what I'm going to do is film with Loom, so you can see my face, every live trading session that I do. So you get to see my P&Ls coming in. You get to see the profits. You get to see the losses. And I'm going to post those each day that I trade. So it's going to be usually, 4 to 5 days per week. Usually Fridays are going to be the day that if I'm not going to trade, it's going to be Friday, or any day where I'm traveling, where I have a meeting of some kind, anything like that, that's going to make it so that I'm not going to trade in the morning. If you don't see a video posted, it's because I just didn't trade. And so, but you're going to see every video, every live trading session that I do, you're going to see that, you're going to see the result. And then at the end of the week, what I'm going to do is do a video like this, where I talk about what I'm doing just in general with the series, and then go through my performance from the week prior and talk about, what I'm noticing, how I'm going to improve for the following week, and just go through my, the review of my performance. And what I want to make sure, in the performance video that I did last night, that is going to come after this segment, I did not go through the exacts of my last week's performance on my review of it, because you haven't seen the trades. So once you have access to, all the trades I'm taking, and really just the results from each day, then I'm going to go back through and, talk about the reflection from the week. And that way you can reference, you're like, okay, this is what he did this day. This is what he did this day. This is, his win. This was his loss. So that it's all clear. So yeah, I think that's all that I want to say for this. So let's get into my performance with my business up to this point. So welcome to the trading dashboard. So this is just TradeZella. I love TradeZella. I will use TradeZella for the rest of my life. And so before you think that I lost my entire life savings, I have not. This is, I use proprietary firms. I use prop firms for my trading. So this is not live money. It is simulation, but I don't think of it as like full simulation, because I have incurred a loss on this for my business, because the expense is the prop firm products that I'm buying. So the way that prop firms work, and I use Apex, is just that they sell a product which is a simulation account that if you pass a certain skills test, then you will earn money from that account if you hit certain profit thresholds without hitting certain loss thresholds and other rules that the prop firm puts in place, and that's different depending on what prop firm you're on. So for me, I buy 50K accounts from Apex, and I trade 20 at a time. So I buy 20 accounts at a time, evaluate them, and look to make money from those, from funded ones. Because basically, once you pass the evaluation, you are then, quote, funded, a funded trader, and you can make money from those accounts, real money. And that's where, again, with my business, like the expenses, the cost of the account, the revenue is then the money that I get from those. So in this time period, I funded $1 million. I funded $500,000, and I lost both, just because I wasn't continuing my, performance that got me funded onto the actual evaluation account. So in total, in the past 3 months, I've spent around $10,000 on prop firm accounts. And so this 91,000, I've, minus 91,000, I've lost about a tenth of that in actual expense for my business. So going into these results, so first I want to say this is that I have only been tracking my results on TradeZilla for about 6 months now, about 6 to 9 months now. So, and I haven't been tracking it all before a year from now, or excuse me, anytime before a year ago, I wasn't tracking it all. I was not taking trading as seriously as I do now. I didn't even really think to track. I was just trading, and once I got mentors, I started understanding the importance of tracking performance so that you can actually see like how you are performing over time and make adjustments to meet your goals. So I will show a bit of my performance from a few months ago, and then this, and I'm going to talk through just like a very simple but extremely intuitive. It's an intuitive for me way of looking at results, and the way that I've problem solved this to begin getting different results as I've gone all in about a month ago. So what I like to do is split my performance just into bare revenue and bare expense. And so let's take a look at, so first let me show my performance before this. So this was the very first few months of me tracking, and this was on just 150K. It was on a lot less. It was on a lot less money. So it was just $150,000 account, and I was barely profitable over 3 months. I had this was with a very, I'll call it a very complicated strategy that I have moved away from to a more simple strategy that is just something that is more repeatable over time and requires me to use a little more discretion in how I execute it. And again, it's just simple. So the more simple, the more repeatable for me this is going to be over time. But generally, I moved away from this strategy. Losses wise, like it was doing okay, but losses generally about equal to wins. So this is like, if you look over here on the right, this is like a way of looking at revenue versus expense. But I'm going to show you, once I started trading, another strategy that I did not stick with. And this was much worse performance. So this was on $1 million the whole time, and this was just literally just over a month. And so let's break this up into revenue and expense. So for the status of this, I'll just go status and do win. So in this month, I had about $72,000 of revenue using this strategy and the way I was executing it. And I also had $225,000 of expense. So the way that I looked at this when I saw this data, very, very simple, is I was like, okay, to be profitable, I have to make sure that my expense is less than my revenue. That's the only way. I mean, that's what profitability is. Is your expense is less than your revenue. Well, for me to make this expense less than my revenue would be really, I would have to cut down tremendously on this expense to even think about profitability. And so instead, well, I was like, okay, the problem is not necessarily that I'm not the problem right now that I should fix is not that necessarily I should cut down on losses, but that I should focus on winning more. Because it's like in any business, like I think when you're starting out, and this was a new strategy, it's like you're probably going to have trouble just selling your first product. And it's like you got to just sell something, like sell your first product. It doesn't matter, whether you made a profit on that in terms of like the whole project, but just sell something because there's no way for you to ever think about profitability if you aren't even selling anything, right? And there's no revenue coming in. It's impossible if there's no revenue coming in. So I focused on winning more. And again, this was another very complicated strategy, complicated in terms of technicals. I've learned that it's most important, instead of technical mastery and mental adequacy, I like to flip the script on that and say technical adequacy and mental mastery. So I moved and made the technical aspects of my system much more simple, and instead focused on my problem-solving skills and just I would say personal development too in general. So like just making sure that I'm feeling healthy each day and like taking care of my body and my mind. Certainly those aspects to deal with like stress. But really, I would say, when I say like mental mastery, I don't want to sound woo-woo in terms of like intuition or that kind of thing. Intuition is very important, and I think of intuition more as not knowing what will happen, but knowing what to pay attention to. And so to do that requires like problem-solving skills. I just see intuition as like kind of like a problem-solving skills. So with that, like again, it's like something very intuitive for me is just looking at revenue and expense. That's something I know what to pay attention to. It's just looking revenue expense. So let's move now to this system that, and this is a system that I will stick with for the rest of my life, and maybe minor tweaks here and there, but I will like the technical system, I will make this happen because it's this very simple liquidity-based system that I know that my mentor uses very well, and I know that it's just going to be about me finding. It's everything that you do. It's your own. You have to make it your own. So it's like it's my own understanding of it, but I still know like generally just that the technicals work. So I'm going to stick with that. And I think that's one really important thing is like, whatever system, if you know generally that the foundation works, then you need to stick with that and then work on, problem solving the rest to get to where you want to go. So let's take a look at revenue and expense here. So what my main focus was with this strategy was to increase revenue. So in 3 months, I had about $690,000 of revenue. So I was winning a lot. I won a lot. I won, what is that, 58 days? Let me see. No. I won 40 days out of 75. I won more days than I lost. I just had a couple very large losing days. So now let's take a look at expense. So I had about $780,000 of expense. But what you notice is that the revenue and expense are much more similar. So now what I'm focused on is reducing expense. So the way that I've done that is just focusing much more on risk management systems. So I've created systems, and I've created systems for. So there's something called trailing drawdown with my prop firm, which is it's not. I shouldn't say my prop firm. There's some. It's just with Apex, they have a trailing drawdown requirement, basically that there's a trailing threshold that moves with your account balance through open positions as well. So it's not just when you close a position, but it goes through the open as well, open position. So I have systems for managing my risk based on what available trailing drawdown I have for each trade. I have systems for changing risk based on higher time frame context. So my higher time frames should be like 4-hour daily, weekly time frames. I have context, or sorry, I have different risk settings that I take based on what that context is giving. And so that's what I focused on in terms of reducing expense. Because one thing I just looked at is like, if I just took out 5 of my biggest losing days, I would be up like $200,000 over 3 months, which, I mean, that alone is not too bad. So, but let's look at so given what I was just saying about, the updates to my systems, let's look at my performance thus far since I've gone all in. So this has been about a month. And let's see if it'll load. Okay. So I have been profitable over the past month. I started off the first week very, very big push all the way up here. And then I went into a drawdown. I had a 5-day losing streak. But what I did is I reduced my position size, like I was saying, based on trailing drawdown. This is like drawdown. So as drawdown increased, I decreased my position size. And as I started to win more, I increased it back up. And this is actually the first time that I've made it out of a drawdown in terms of like a losing streak like this. This is a 5-day losing streak. Like I've had 1-2 losses in a row and then make it out. But like when I have 5 losses like this, it always would end I would always blow the account, whether it was funded or an evaluation. But this one I've actually kept. I'm still evaluating $1 million in funding right now. But yeah, so this was a really good improvement, and this was, focused on risk management, like I was talking about, the risk management updates, so that I could keep more of my money. So right now, I am holding 1.88 times, times my expense in revenue. So I'm making 1.88 times more revenue than expense. That's what I'm doing as of now. So my goal for my system is to have a profit factor of 2 or higher over time. So I'm getting very close. I had a losing day last day on Thursday, so the last trading day of the week for me, because I was not trading on Friday. I had an appointment in the morning, and I had a losing day, but I was at a profit factor of 2. So I did get to see that goal hit for a moment. Very, very cool. And basically, yeah, what the goal of my system, because I believe everything needs a goal for its performance, not monetary performance, but like metrics based. So like profit factor is something that I focus on, because this is just, again, revenue over expense. So my goal for my system is to have a profit factor of 2 or higher over time. And so, yeah, that's my performance thus far. So if we look at just last week, I am, let's see, this week, June 9th. So this was last week. It was, very profitable week in terms of profit factor. I'm still building up volatility. I call it like risk volatility. I'm still building up my position size as I win more. So this is not like the biggest week. It's only about a 1% week. Still, nothing too bad, but like you know, it's still like lower volatility. So next week I have more trailing drawdown right now available. So I'm gonna at least be starting the week with higher larger position sizes based on my risk system. And then if I continue to win, I will continue to increase that position size and win more and more and more. You know, when that happens, I can get upwards of like, these days are like 6,000 to 8,000. Usually I can get up to like $15,000 to $20,000 for those days. And that's where the weeks you can get, where I can get some nice big winning weeks. And then, you know, if I do go into, you know, more stagnant periods, then I have my risk management system there so that I make sure that I'm reducing position size, you know, if there's a drawdown, and I'm not blowing all the money that I just made. So that is, yeah, that is just a review of my performance thus far. I'm going to just film the trades this week, and then I'm going to go into the performance next week. Or next, like Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to go over like my reflection for the performance of the week. I'm just kind of, this video is more just to show you where I'm at. I want to make sure you can see my trades live, the live recordings. I want to make, I'm not going to be doing them live on YouTube, but I will share the recordings of me trading live. And I want to make sure you can see those trades, like look back and actually see how I executed, so that when I do speak about, you know, like my reflection on how my performance was, you can then go back and see like, okay, so like this is how we traded, and then I'll be like, yeah, and like, okay, these were the things that I noticed about my performance, and this is what went well. So I do something called the 5 feedbacks. So I say, what did I do? What did I do well? Where did I fall short? The third thing is like, what was my overall emotion or mindset for the week? And then overarching, I should say, not overall, but overarching. And then 4 is, what is the 1% tweak I'll make for next week? And then 5 is I just rate the week. You know, was it a week aligned with who I truly am and want to become, or not? So very simple reflection. I used to have very complicated reflection, and I'm testing out a more simple reflection for that. My daily, I'll just show you my daily template for how I review my trades. So like we can go just to the last, so go to notebook here. I'll show you on this was, so the last day that I traded. So I just say like what news was in, and then yeah, I'm logging like where I took the trade, what did I trade, and when did I trade it. I have pictures for everything that I traded. So I took 2 trades this day. I have a picture of my actual execution platform, which I use Ninja for. And then I just talk about my risk management, trade management. I go through how I, you know, how I trailed my stop loss and managed risk throughout the trade and took profit if it did get to a point of taking profit. And then just overall have some general reflection. And then later in the day, I go through and reflect again, just as like a kind of from a new mindset. How was my performance for the day? So again, this is not a trading education YouTube, but I do want to show just like the depth of review that I'm doing on each trade, or you can at least see this template. For, it doesn't matter what business you're in, just like seeing like, okay, so he's really like looking through each, you know, system of his system, each subsystem of his system, and he's like looking through and evaluating, okay, did I match my system? Did I not? Yeah, so I just wanted to show that. And I think that's it for going through my performance. And yeah, so I'm excited to show you all my trades this coming week, whatever they may be in terms of performance. Basically what you can count on is that losses will not be large.
If I do lose, have a losing streak, it will be relatively small compared to my overall wins over the past same month. And what you can also count on is that if conditions are, if I do have, if conditions are such to where I am winning consistently, you can count on the fact that I will, I will capitalize well off of that. So that's just those are two things that I'm focusing on, and I will make sure that will happen. So yeah, see you next week.